Okay, today we're going to talk about Science 8, fluid movement in cells. So we're still working on the unit cells and cell systems. Today we're discussing General Outcome 2, investigate and describe the role of cells within living things. And more specifically, we're going to be dealing with Outcome 2.4. Now we're going to have three different videos and three different components to this. The first video, which we'll be talking about today, will be about diffusion, and then we will actually be doing some videos on. There will be another one on osmosis, and then the last one will be on transpiration. So, specific outcome 2.4 is describe the movement of gases and liquids into and out of cells during diffusion and osmosis based on concentration differences. So, moving on. First, we need to talk about the cell membrane. What's its role? What does it do in the cell? Now, remember that both plant and animal cells both contain a cell membrane. And this cell membrane is what allows in the cell, or allows some substances to enter or leave the cell, while sometimes it stops other substances. So what we call this is selectively permeable membrane. So it selects what it will allow in and out, and also it selects what it will not allow in or out. So we use two words to describe substances that are allowed to enter and substances that are not allowed to enter. So a permeable membrane, that's a membrane that allows all materials through. While an impermeable membrane, that doesn't allow anything through. So sometimes we get these particles or molecules that are too big to fit through. And water is actually one substance that tends to have the ability to fit and be permeable in many different cases. So first we're going to talk today about diffusion. This is this first video. Like I said, we'll also be doing videos on osmosis and transpiration, but today diffusion. So what is diffusion? Okay, well, we know that in diffusion the cell membrane is what is going to control what moves in and out of the cell. Now in diffusion we have particles moving in all directions, and then they're bumping into each other, and eventually they spread out evenly throughout the cell. So they'll start in one contained area, and then as they disperse, okay, or like I said, move in all directions, they're going to bump, they're going to end up evenly distributed, and that's what we're trying to get to, is this equilibrium. So they spread out evenly throughout the cell, and this process is called diffusion. So we're taking particles in a high concentrated area and we're moving them to a low concentrated area so that we can create equilibrium within the cell. So if we had a ball of particles in a glass of water, eventually what they're going to do is they're going to spread themselves out and disperse throughout the water and the liquid, and eventually they're going to evenly distribute themselves. So diffusion plays a part in moving substances into and out of the cell. So we have this word on the screen, concentration, and it's bolded. So this concentration is going to determine the direction the substance takes through the cell membrane. Now, what concentration is are there more cells? Is it more concentrated? Yes. If it's more concentrated, it has more particles. Okay, not more cells, sorry, my bad. It has more particles in one area. Okay, low concentrated area would have less particles in that area. Okay, so this concentration is going to determine which direction the substance takes through the cell membrane. If we have a higher level of concentration on the exterior or the outside of the cell, then, and a lower concentration on the inside, then we know the direction of the diffusion is going to move from the high concentrated on the exterior or the outside of the cell, and it's going to move towards the inside to create equilibrium. So in diffusion, we have to remember that these particles are always wanting to move from a higher concentrated area to a lower concentrated area. And we want to try to create equilibrium, which is basically saying that we have an even amount on outside to inside in terms of particles. And then so vice versa, if I had a higher concentrated inside of the cell and then I had a low concentration of particles on the exterior or the outside of the cell, then the direction of diffusion is going to want to move from inside, and particles are going to transport to the exterior of the cell, the outside, until we reach again that equilibrium, or there's balance. Okay, and that's another kind of way we can remember equilibrium is by using the word balance. So just a little diagram. This is the last slide. Hopefully this makes sense. There are some videos as well that you can go to. I've uploaded onto the YouTube page that you can watch. That's going to give you some good information and diagrams as well. But here basically we have a high concentrated area and a low concentrated area. So diffusion, remember, is particles moving from a high concentrated area to a low concentrated area until we reach equilibrium. Okay, and that equilibrium, if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 here, and we have 1, 2, 3, ideally what we would want is to have 6 or 7 per side, so it's relatively even and we have somewhat of a balance. And as these move over, possibly if 3 move over, then maybe 1 might float back, but we're not going to notice a huge difference. Especially, this isn't a huge concentration level, but as we get more and more particles, we're going to notice that diffusion occurring, and we're not going to notice these ones, that the stray particles that tend to come back on this side. But it's going to continue. Diffusion is going to continue to happen until we reach an equilibrium, and the particles are equally distributed throughout the water. So that's diffusion. Again, if you click on the YouTube page and you go to the playlist, there are some other resources you can use to help better gain understanding on the topic of diffusion. The one video is quite informative and it shows diagrams and examples, and I urge you to take a look at it. And so hopefully this has helped you out. Stay tuned, there's going to be another video uploaded on osmosis next, and then followed by another video on transpiration. Okay, thank you.